Here are 3 keynotes for the speech on From Setbacks to Comebacks, the British Spirit of Resilience in an Educational and Motivational Style. Keynotes 1. Adversity as a teacher. Every setback is not an end, but a classroom where lessons of patience, courage, and reinvention are taught. Challenges shape the character of individuals and nations alike. 2. Resilience as a national heritage. The British story is filled with examples of perseverance in the face of wars, economic struggles, and social transformations. The ability to rise again defines the true spirit of resilience. 3. Comeback through collective strength. Real recovery is never just individual, it comes from unity, shared vision, and determination to rebuild stronger than before, turning trials into triumphs. Keynote 1. Adversity as a teacher. Adversity is one of life's greatest educators. While comfort may give us moments of peace, it rarely develops our true potential. It is in the moments of trial, when circumstances turn against us, that the human mind and heart are stretched beyond their limits. A setback, whether personal, social, or national, is not simply an obstacle, it is an invitation to growth. It is the unseen classroom where lessons of patience, courage, and reinvention are taught with greater clarity than any textbook could provide. When difficulties arise, the first instinct of many is resistance. We ask ourselves, why me? Why now? Yet history reveals a deeper truth, that those who embrace their struggles as opportunities to learn are the ones who rise strongest. Every setback carries within it a seed of instruction. Failure shows us where our assumptions were flawed. Loss forces us to value what truly matters. Disappointment teaches resilience, reminding us that success is rarely linear, but rather a journey of repeated attempts, adjustments, and recoveries. Consider how this principle has been lived through generations. Families who endured wars, recessions, or displacement did not simply survive by chance. They learned discipline in scarcity, unity in hardship, and vision in uncertainty. These were not just painful experiences, they were training grounds. They refined values, tested determination, and instilled a resilience that could not be taught in times of ease. In education, adversity teaches lessons no lecture hall can match. A student who struggles with a subject and perseveres eventually gains not only knowledge of the material but also mastery over frustration, discipline, and creative problem solving. Similarly, a young professional facing rejection after rejection may at first feel defeated, but each no develops their ability to adapt, refine their skills, and prepare for the yes that will one day change their path. The challenge is not meant to silence ambition, it is meant to polish it. On a national scale, adversity often acts as the fire that forges collective identity. When communities face crises, whether economic hardships, natural disasters, or threats to their way of life, the response determines the legacy left behind. These moments demand sacrifice, cooperation, and vision. What seems like a setback at the time becomes, in retrospect, the very catalyst for progress. Nations that rebuilt after devastation did not rise by ignoring their pain, but by learning from it, reimagining their future, and daring to believe in renewal. Therefore, adversity must never be seen as the final word. It is not a verdict of failure but a call to education. Keynote 2. Resilience as a national heritage. Resilience is not just an individual quality, it is a heritage that entire nations carry within their identity. It is the invisible thread connecting generations, binding them through stories of struggle, sacrifice, and renewal. In the context of Britain, resilience has not been an abstract ideal but a lived reality. From the turbulence of wars to the uncertainties of social and economic shifts, the ability to withstand adversity and rise again has become part of the cultural DNA. When we look back through history, the British spirit has been tested time and again. The devastation of the world wars, the hardships of post-war reconstruction, and the challenges of industrial and social transformation were not mere episodes of survival. They were chapters that revealed the strength of endurance. Bombed cities were rebuilt. Broken economies were revived. Families torn apart by loss found courage to hope again. In every crisis, there was not just despair but also determination, a refusal to surrender identity, dignity, or vision for the future. Resilience as a heritage means that the present generation does not stand alone. It draws from the strength of those who came before, those who proved that hardship is not an end but a beginning of reinvention. This inheritance is not stored in monuments or archives alone, it lives in the everyday values of perseverance, discipline, and quiet courage. It is seen in the willingness to keep going, even when circumstances appear unyielding. Educationally, this lesson is profound. Young minds are taught history not to memorize dates and battles, but to absorb the spirit of resilience that history represents. Every story of resistance, every account of rebuilding, is a reminder that resilience is not optional, it is essential for survival and progress. When a student faces difficulties, they can look back and see that even entire nations have stumbled, yet risen stronger. This perspective transforms personal challenges into manageable trials, knowing they are part of a much larger human story. Resilience as national heritage also fosters unity. Hardships have the paradoxical power of dissolving divisions. In times of crisis, communities discover their collective strength, realizing that survival depends not on isolated effort but on shared responsibility. This heritage continues to echo in modern society, reminding people that together they can withstand far more than they could alone. Moreover, resilience shapes vision. A nation that has endured hardship develops a sharper sense of foresight. It knows that prosperity can never be taken for granted and that peace must be preserved with vigilance. This heritage instills not only pride but also humility, for every generation understands that resilience is a continuous task, not a one-time victory. Keynote 3: Comeback through collective strength. The greatest comebacks in history have never been the work of one individual alone. They have always been the product of collective strength, a united effort where people stand shoulder to shoulder, driven by a shared vision of renewal. Setbacks may begin as personal or local, but recovery becomes powerful only when it is embraced as a collective mission. When adversity strikes, the natural temptation is to retreat into isolation, to carry the burden alone. Yet, true resilience flourishes in community. A single person may be strong, but a group bound by unity is unbreakable. This principle is seen not only in families and workplaces but also across entire nations. Every successful comeback has required solidarity, sacrifice, and cooperation. In Britain's history, moments of greatest struggle revealed this truth most clearly. During times of war, citizens worked together in extraordinary ways. Ordinary households rationed food with discipline. Volunteers contributed time and labor. Workers in factories and farms kept the nation moving forward, despite uncertainty and danger. It was not the heroism of a few, but the quiet, determined actions of millions that turned despair into resilience. Collective strength became the foundation upon which recovery was built. Conclusion: from setbacks to comebacks. Every setback carries within it the possibility of transformation. Adversity teaches us lessons that comfort cannot. History shows us that resilience is not a new invention, it is an inheritance, passed down from generation to generation, shaping both individuals and nations. And the greatest comebacks have never been solitary achievements, they have always been born from collective strength, from communities that choose hope over despair, and action over surrender. The British spirit of resilience reminds us that no fall is permanent unless we choose not to rise. Broken cities can be rebuilt, lost opportunities can be regained, and shaken confidence can be restored. What matters most is the refusal to let hardship define the ending of the story. In our personal lives, in our schools, in our workplaces, and in our society, the same principle stands true: setbacks do not diminish us, they refine us. They call us to dig deeper, to stand together, and to turn trials into triumphs. So let every challenge be seen not as the closing of a door, but as the opening of a new path. Let every failure remind us that success is not absent, only delayed. And let every setback be remembered not as a defeat, but as the beginning of a comeback. That is the enduring lesson: resilience is more than survival, it is the art of rising stronger, wiser, and more united than before.